Hello, everyone. So my name is Jordan, and I'm going to be doing a series of video episodes where I'm going to kind of do some information dissemination about some of the current state of affairs going on in our country. All you really have to do nowadays is turn on the news and see absolutely something just idiotic and outrageous every single day happening, both within our domestic environment and then, of course, with our involvement overseas. Of course, the media is going to have you believe that this is, spun and that it's Donald Trump's fault, and that, somebody like Alexander Ocasio-Cortez or Bernie Sanders is going to come in and save the day. What I'm going to do is I'm going to explain to you in different segments some of the history throughout the United States and what we represent and what we were founded on. And then I'm going to expose an age-old conspiracy that's not a conspiracy theory and has become more and more verifiably factual by the day. And kind of list some of the people who are major power players so that you can start realizing what's been done to you and the world around you. See, the thing is, you and I are not criminals. We're not people who are greedy, murderous, trying to take advantage of or control other people. But there is a massive, massive cabal of groups of people that have, for centuries, done everything they can to control the world. So no, this is not a tinfoil hat conspiracy theory of the Illuminati, but there are very real enemies that have overtaken the United States and many other places with the one goal in mind of creating a solid one world order. So kind of to break down a little bit what I'm going to do, I'm going to cover some of the origins of this. I'm going to cover some of the major events in U.S. history that have been spawned into some of these conspiracy theories, quote unquote. And then I'm also going to let you know about the plan to save the world and what's being done currently right under our very noses. There's been a covert war that has been brewing for, well, since the inception of our country. And if you don't believe that and have no interest in hearing it, or if you are triggered by things like anti-communism, anti-progressive, ultra-radical leftism, because that's different than being a Democrat. If you're triggered by things like, abortion or discrimination against Satanism, things of that nature, then this video is probably not going to be for you. So I personally am a libertarian philosophically, and I identify independently conservative politically. I refrain from using the word Republican on purpose, and you'll find out why. Religiously, I believe in the one true and living God. And, if you have different beliefs or backgrounds in that, that's perfectly fine. As long as you're a patriot and a citizen of this country and you believe wholeheartedly in what the purpose and message of the United States is, then this message is for you. Because what happens to one of us will happen to all of us. So there is absolutely an agenda out to destroy this country, to destroy you, to destroy your family. That's what I'm going to cover. So the history, starting back from 1776, the Bavarian Masonic Lodge had one member that was a corrupt and very wicked man. His name was Adam Weishaupt. He didn't start off that way, but power corrupts absolutely. And so Adam Weishaupt recruited other ignorant or corrupt members from both his lodge or from politics in general around the Bavarian German area. He created the Bavarian Illuminati in 1776. They used principles of brotherly love, relief, truth, and they twisted and perverted those principles. They took ancient sacred symbols and literally, in some cases, inverted them to represent what their ideology was. They had the idea that they could use the precepts and principles of their newfound order that they created for themselves using occult symbolism and perverted esoteric ideology to run the world the way they saw fit. They were eventually found out and were officially disbanded within less than a decade or so. Feel free to fact check me on that. But the members of the Bavarian Illuminati were arrested or exiled. Now, no one knows what happened to Adam Weishaupt. Fast forward over into America, if you can jump across the Atlantic Ocean, into the Revolutionary War. We were fighting against a tyrant, which tyranny is the enemy of all good Americans. We were fighting against tyranny and set up a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. George Washington was elected as our first president by a unanimous landslide, and he was fully aware of the issues surrounding the Illuminati at that time. Now, I said this wasn't going to be about the Illuminati, and it's not, because since the Illuminati was officially disbanded, they no longer exist, but their ideologies survived. You can take an idea and it will become immortal, and that's what happened. So George Washington was a founding father. He was also a famous Freemason. Full disclosure, I am a member of that organization as well, and I'll explain in a later video a little bit about what we do and the vast difference between Freemasons and the other secret societies that are truly secret societies that have nefarious purposes and intents and designs upon the United States and the world and its citizenry. So George Washington was a famous Mason, and he wrote in a letter in 1792 that he was fully aware of the influence of Illuminatism in Europe, and that he had instructed all of the Grand Masters of all of the states within the original 13 colonies to be fully on guard and aware against this ideology, that it was a sick, satanic perversion of everything that we believe in and stand for. And he said, to my knowledge, that has not infiltrated into the United States. I would argue that now it has, because you can always find good and bad in anything. There are good and bad cops. There are good and bad pastors. There are good and bad lawyers and teachers, any other station in life. So you cannot actually lump all people of any particular subscribed ideology into one group. So there has been a slow boil of people who have tried to infiltrate into all stations of power within the United States, none so heavily as the members of the Skull and Bones secret society within Yale. So Skull and Bones, if you read their Who's Who member list, if you get tapped to join the fraternity, which is exclusive to males and has only a few members recently that are of anything other than white persuasion, if you get tapped to join the Bones, you are likely going to be a very powerful and influential person. There are politicians and bankers and philanthropists and actors and famous executives of companies, all kinds of people that have been in their membership roster. I'm going to list a couple of them, just a couple. So it was founded in the 1800s by William Russell and Alphonso Taft. That name might sound similar to you because Alphonso Taft was the father of William Howard Taft, who became one of America's worst presidents. They were the original founding members of the Skull and Bones Secret Society, and of course President Taft was a member. They founded that organization when William Russell went to Germany and became fascinated with the occult studies that he found over in Germany. Again, the same place that Nazism and Illuminatism arise from. They created a god called Eulogia, from which we get the word eulogy, meaning to articulate eloquently. So they basically worship a reincarnation of the Greek goddess Sophia, or knowledge. The Skull and Bones members, of course, everybody who's been any kind of conspiracy theorist knows about the Bushes and even John Kerry. So think about that. In 2004, we had only the choice of George W. Bush and John Kerry as President of the United States, both Skull and Bones members. Someone please calculate the odds of that happening. But also Harold Stanley of Morgan & Stanley Banking Institution, Albert De Silver, who founded and created the ACLU, George Harrison of the Federal Reserve, Russ Davenport of Fortune 500, Potter Stewart, the Supreme Court Justice in the early 1900s, who created many arbitrary laws. Of course, judges are supposed to interpret the law, not legislate law, yet that's not what happens. Raymond Price, who is the speechwriter for all of President Nixon's, Ford, and Bush's speeches. And of course, if you pop into your pantry, you're going to find names like Kellogg and Pillsbury. Yeah, they were members as well. So they are one aspect of this mini Hydra style cabal. You also have, of course, the Bilderberg Group, which is a phenomenal gathering of several hundred of the world's most wealthy, powerful, and influential people throughout all of society, who gather together once a year in complete secret. Everyone knows where they meet, though, and they discuss agendas for what they want to see the change in the world. One of their agendas is very, very famous and popular is Agenda 2030. Do some research on that on your own time if you like. It should scare the pants off of you. They're one member. Many of those cross-blending members meet in the Bavarian Grove, Bohemian Grove, I apologize. The Bohemian Grove is a whole list of famous and powerful people, including many presidents. Some of the most debaucherous, vile, and disgusting things that you can imagine men doing together in the woods for a couple weeks. Powerful men of society, including Albert Einstein. It's where the Manhattan Project for the atomic bomb in World War II was created. They gathered together to weave their webs and discuss what they think the world should look like. And they end their vile meetings with a sacrifice ritual called the cremation of care. In that, it is a massively produced play with the voiceover done by Walter Cronkite, the first member of the fake news. Walter Cronkite voices the god that they do the sacrifice to, in which they take a representative of the average American person and they lay him on an altar and they sacrifice him to their owl god, Minerva, if you want to go far back into Greek mythology. So you can already kind of see this pattern of a lot of occultism and a lot of perversion of ritual being done to control and bond all of these wealthy and powerful people. Now, one of the first things that has been done is the complete control of propaganda. If you are happy and placated and all you need to do is keep up with the Kardashians and you get your news from CNN, congratulations, you have been brainwashed. So if you think for yourself and value independence, you're an enemy of these people and you need to be silenced. Things happen all the time to people. You have Twitter accounts removed for violating community standards for making a political ideology post, whereas someone can say we should kill all white people and those don't go against community standards on things like Facebook. You also have on Facebook a huge, massive amount of shadow banning of conservative posts, in which shadow banning is basically you're not actually kicked off the platform, but they mute you to where nobody sees your posts show up in news feeds. I'm sure many of you have noticed that anytime you talk about something, pretty soon you're going to get a sponsored ad from Facebook popping up showing you exactly what you were just talking about. If you have an Amazon Alexa in your home, a Google Home, any of those kind of technological advances, you're basically feeding any of your personal information over to this cabal. That'll be in a later video explaining how the tech industry harvests that. But in the meantime, what I'm going to do in some of these later videos, I know this went a little bit longer than I was planning, but I'm going to take some of this history here and I'm going to break it down piece by piece to where it makes a little bit more sense and you can kind of get the whole story all at once. Once you fully understand the scope and magnitude of what's been going on in our nation, you will be absolutely shocked, hopefully enraged, and devastated for the tragedy of innocent lives lost in this power grab. And then hopefully at the end you will be inspired knowing that the good guys have a plan and that they are winning. So for those of you who have heard of or studied the QAnon conspiracy theory, absolutely, unequivocally, 100%, I am a subscriber to the QAnon phenomenon. It is the plan to save the world, and I'm actually going to post in the comments a YouTube video with that exact title. It has been scrubbed off YouTube so many countless times that the only way you can find it is by patriots who have re-uploaded that video. I scrolled through almost 20 different videos before I found the right one posted from somebody's account. So as long as that hasn't been deleted off, I'll have that posted. Please watch it with an open mind. You don't have to agree with everything that's been said or done, but it'll start to weave together a very eloquent picture that I think you'll be able to track with. So that's the first video, just to kind of introduce the topic and introduce myself a little bit. I've been studying a lot of these different concepts, principles, ideologies, theories in history for a very, very long time now. So it's a little bit hard to take the stuff that I've seen and studied and read and condense that down into a short video. I hope you guys have enjoyed. I'm certainly happy that I'm getting a chance to do this, and I hope you guys will find it fascinating and then maybe inspiring as well. So God bless you all. God bless America. Have a great night.